She is back. Welcome to the show. It has been a while, you guys. Woo! If you are new to the Authentic Talks family, if you're here listening for the very first time, I do want to take a moment and say welcome, welcome, and welcome. Hit that subscribe button. That way, when I upload a show, you will be notified and you will not miss that episode. Wow. Okay, you guys. So it has been a year since I've uploaded and recorded my last episode. So it was May 13th of 2024. And I am just excited to be back, you guys. I've missed you all and I'm ready to dive back into some amazing conversations. Woo! I just feel so good. I'm overflowing, you guys, in love, energy, and it just feels so good to just be talking to you at this moment. And I just want to reassure you that I'm back and I'm not going any place, you guys. The shows will be uploaded every single week on Mondays. I do plan on having several pod snacks and then going back into bringing guests back into the shows. I have been through a lot over the last year, you guys. Some of the things have been amazing and some things not so amazing. And so I want to dive in and I want to talk about it all with you because it is Authentic Talks. I have been through some personal growth and professional growth. Some lessons that I've learned have been amazing and have helped me to truly evolve. Some of my struggles were real, and it was dealing with different personalities, dealing with the challenges of being a mom, a wife, juggling full-time work and being an entrepreneur, and with everyone tugging on me like, let's go this way and let's go that way, and then having some responsibilities and duties that I didn't have a way out. All of it being things that I've definitely been able to learn and grow from, and I will definitely share with you some tips and some tools at the end of the podcast that's going to help you to navigate where you can maybe eliminate some of the struggles that I personally experienced along the way. One of the things that happened was loss of income. We all know that this impacts us all in a not so great way. And it was something that I didn't want to make public, and I wanted it to be a private thing that we dealt with. Also having to deal with a son that was going through some mental challenges as well, and then having to help him navigate through that. And we're still assisting and helping him to navigate through those issues or through his mental health journey that he's dealing with after being hit by a car. And I believe I shared that with you guys in one of the earlier episodes, and he's fine. He's working full time, but there has definitely been some challenges with that. And being his mother, it's not like I can just turn my back on him and say, hey, you're on your own, buddy. It's like you have to help them navigate through, and that was really challenging as well. You guys, the truth is I had to relearn like how to balance my career, my business, and my personal life. Where I thought that I had it all together, at some point in 2024, I had hit a level of fatigue where I was feeling tired. I was feeling I could get through this, I can make it, but I was taking on more than what I really could handle as far as like the business and trying to navigate school and being a full-time mom and being a wife and trying to keep the podcast going and doing all of these things on my own. And I had just moved into a new position that I had been waiting for and was super excited about. And it required more of my attention and more of my organization than what I initially thought it would. I was also trying to find ways to bring joy into the workspace, and there was a lot of mixed matched energy per se. So I pulled back on that a bit and took a break from that, and then focused more on the purpose of me being there was to learn my new role. And then that role started growing and I was taking on more really than what I needed to, but I felt like customer servicey, where it was like putting myself in the customer's shoes. And so I didn't care about whose role or responsibility certain things were. I felt like we need to just get this done. And so taking that on like took its toll as well. And then it just felt like we needed more help and help just wasn't coming. And then that started to make me feel even more like, and just fatigued, tired. My spirits were still like crushed and feeling like, I'll just say this, I started in pursuit of looking for a different position, and it felt like the doors was just not opening up for me. I was able to go through a series of interviews, and they just didn't really feel positive, to be honest with you. And so God is so good. I feel like the universe opens doors when they need to be open, and you end up where you're supposed to be. And so I was able to move into a different area, and then things just started to really change for me in a short period of time, where I found that my energy was back, my spirits were lifted, and then my ability to create and to give, wholeheartedly just started to show back up. I found myself waking up in the mornings where I was looking forward to going into work. I found myself enjoying like being at work. I found myself smiling again and just like having good energy. And even when someone approached me one day and said to me, "We probably would not have liked you anyway," I didn't let it faze me. I was just like, "Oh, okay, well, you have a great day. I wish you well, and I hope that your energy is able to, be lifted up." And so I've been running into people who are matching my energy with good energy. And so that's really an awesome thing. And like, no matter what space you're in, you guys, one of the things I've learned is that you're never going to be able to appease everyone. Everyone's not going to be your cup of tea, and you're not going to be everyone else's cup of tea, but we can all learn to co-create in a space and just figure it out and just get through what needs to be done and make sure that we're doing it and doing it very well. That's what I've learned. And that when certain doors close or they won't open up, you just better trust that God or the universe has your back, and it is for a reason. Trust that in that season, okay? And so with that being said, as far as the business side of things, I have been able to expand the business, you guys. And so we now have essential oils, and I love lavender. So the majority of our products, as far as the essential oils, are infused with dry lavender. And I've also added candles to the business as well. So I've been busy taking care of business and learning and growing and just coming up with new content that I could share with you all. And also understanding that I'm going to continue to bring you amazing guests. And I do want to say thank you so much for riding with me, holding it down. Some of you guys have come over to the Authentic You Mindset platform on Instagram, and you're following me there. And it's good to see you there. And so I'm excited again to be back. And I just want to talk about some of the things that have been going on in the world, and a little bit with you all today, and just really encourage you and to let you know that no matter what happens, one of the things that we know for sure is that we always have to take care of ourselves. And I found myself throughout the last year feeling uncomfortable in situations. My energy was off in some situations, and just not feeling like myself and not able to show up as my authentic self in some of the spaces. I felt that other people were projecting negative energy towards me. I could walk into their presence and I could just really feel it. They didn't have to say anything. One of the things that I'm really good with is feeling energy and feeling people out. And so what started happening is that I found myself starting to shut down and pull back and not talk as much and not express myself as much. And then shutting down wasn't really helping me any. That right there was something that needed to be corrected right away. And so what I did was I would just reserve my energy in certain spaces where I just wasn't really giving a lot of it out, because I really didn't have a whole lot that I could really give, you guys. I felt like drained, burnt out. Burnout is a real thing, and that happens when we allow ourselves to not have those boundaries, when we think that like we can do everything, when we want to be so helpful and we're trying to do so much, and then oftentimes when you're giving and doing a lot, it's not even really noticed. And a lot of times it goes unappreciated. And then you start to become overlooked in certain situations, and that just makes it worse. You start to feel even more beat down, more tired, exhausted, and burnout is actually truly a real thing, and it doesn't really help your family out. It doesn't really help a lot of people in the end, especially yourself. And so one of the things that I learned is that we have to take it back to having those boundaries. We have to make sure that self-care is at the forefront. We have to make sure that we're taking care of the people who are willing to take care of us, and you want to be around those people who, when you're not in the room, who are speaking up for you, because oftentimes that's something that you might be doing, but then when you're not in the room, there's people that might be in those rooms who are not doing that for you. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're building solid foundation, solid relationships with authentic people, and making sure that they're real and not just like these superficial relationships based on what you're able to do. And you find out like who the real ones are whenever you're put in a position where you can no longer do those things. And so what happened for us, you guys, was my husband ended up losing his income. And so we end up having an income reduction, and it took a minute for him to like get back out there. And when he did, it was like his income was less than what we were used to having. And so we had to make some adjustments, and like doing all of this without wanting to like make it a big deal, like in announcing to everyone like why I'm no longer able to show up in the same way financially, or why I can no longer do this or that. It's like it was none of their business. And so I felt like there was no need for me to have to go in there and do that. I felt like based off of the merits of what I had already done should be enough, like to know my heart and to know like where we come from, and like what we're trying to do here in the space. But instead I felt like it was kind of like a weird energy behind it, and like now I've moved on and I'm in a different space and place, and it feels like that energy is like it's like you're not gonna seep over here on this other side, stay over there. And I'm just trying to like move on and doing this transition and still keeping it professional and learning and continuing to grow. And as far as the business, you guys, side of things, like I do plan on launching a new program, and I do have still book 4 that's coming out in this year 2025, which is of the Jam with Me, A Journey to Your Higher Self book series. Book 4 about mindfulness is still coming out. And so I'm still behind the scenes doing the work, you guys. It's never done. It's like a journey. It's a continuous journey that you have to keep working on. And it's not like once you get to a certain place, you just stop and say, okay. But I did feel like for a little bit in there that my struggle was real. I felt like I was suffocating. I felt like my voice was unheard. I felt unseen. I felt unappreciated. It was all of these things that was happening all at once, and it just felt like the roof was caving in on me, and I was just trying to avoid like negative people and negative spaces, and the universe just started turning it around like little by little. It started happening like on the outside of work, where I was being around people who were again like uplifting and positive, and then it just started to eventually like move into that space, and then until it just completely shifted. And so I am back, and that's what happened, you guys. I was dealing with life and realizing that I needed to take a break and pause on certain things, and I wasn't able to really give you 100% with the podcast. I came out with the podcast really like to bring positivity, to bring like love, to share growth tips with you, to talk about mind, body, and spirit, and how all of that is interconnected, and how it's really important for us to have self-love and for us to show up, as our authentic selves, and to not be afraid to discover who we truly are. That was the reason why I had came out with the podcast. And those things are still applicable to our lives to this very day. As I continue to get older, there's some other topics that I want to talk about, like some of the things that I've been experiencing with going through menopause, and like how that's impacted me. Sometimes I would be sitting there and would just have like a zap of a hot flash, and menopause is something that my mother didn't deal with, and a lot of the people in my family have not dealt with like menopause in the same way that I'm actually dealing with it, or going through it, or experiencing it, I should say. And so that has been like an interesting journey as well. And I have found that some of the things that have helped me and continue to help me is the essential oils, which is why I got into them and learning how to make them myself and understanding what works for what thing. And so that started with my son also, where one of them, he would get nosebleeds because we're in Arizona where the weather is really dry. And so I started learning and experimenting with the diffuser, putting drops of certain things to figure out what will help him not have a dry nose, what would help me not have that, because one of my sons have some serious sinus issues as well. And all of that has to do with like the dust, the dry heat and things like that. And so that's been a part of my break, is learning and experimenting with that, taking more classes to get certifications and things of that nature to really help us, like to be able to thrive better here at home in our house, And of course that spills over into other spaces, because as I learn and grow, I'm like, I've got to share this. And so I do share it with my customers and clients. And another thing that I had been working on was my sound therapy, the sound baths, and really working with customers more. I also worked with a friend with her vision that she's had for spreading the word about holistic health, and that was something that I worked on with her. And I've been able to just really meet some amazing people throughout this past year that has really helped to shape some of my vision for my own life and to really help me like grow. That's really what I have been up to in a nutshell, you guys. I have been also invited to various women's events and things of that nature, and around a new type of women that are really there to like help other women thrive, and that's been really amazing. You guys know I've met a lot of people over the last years, because I've had amazing people on the podcast who were genuine and really about that life too, and I'm just like transitioning where I'm now meeting more of them in person, and so that is really a beautiful thing. I will tell you the other side, or the flip side of that, has been that people sometimes will expect your books for free, and I already give out a lot of things for free in my shop. And sometimes like you get where people want you to give them a lot, and you may not have a lot of financial ability or capability to give them, and so they don't understand that like when you're running a business, there's cost. And there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. It's not like people are handing you merchandise or handing you ideas, that you can just run with. You are the creator, you are the CEO, you are the one that has to make those decisions about what products and services you're going to offer and bring into your business space. I've been able to mentor some people, and so that's been really an amazing thing. It's very rewarding, and so that's been awesome. I have also expanded where I was in a certain area with my pop-up shop, and I've now like been moving around various parts of Arizona. So that's been amazing to meet such beautiful people and to receive such a warm welcome. And a lot of people are so knowledgeable these days about sage and the products that we sell, and they truly understand it. And so that is an amazing thing, that the word is getting out there about how to use these products and in what ways are they very helpful for you, and how you can use them to help you thrive. And so that's been really an awesome thing. And just so you know, you are not alone. When we talk about like the housing prices going up, we talk about food prices going up, things are just really looking a little shaky right now, where we're not quite sure how things are gonna go. But what I want to share with all of you is that one thing that no one can ever take away from you is positivity and the power of your mind. We have to focus on creating, we have to focus on growth, we have to focus on educating ourselves, and we have to make sure that emotional intelligence is at the forefront of all that we do. I myself had got a little bit emotional in there, where I was getting like pissed off about things and really expressing it. But it doesn't do any good to like come in with that type of mindset or attitude. And I, of all people, definitely know that it doesn't work. And so I want to encourage you and let you know that the best thing that you can do throughout this time period is to educate yourself and make sure that you're being educated by reliable sources. You guys, let's go ahead and take a moment to dive really deep and talk about emotional intelligence. I want to talk about how we can navigate during uncertainty when we're facing all of these things like loss of income, when we're facing tariffs, when we're facing inflation, when we're facing mental challenges with a family member. It can really be tough. We know for sure that our emotional well-being is definitely important. I mean, the truth is that there's so much uncertainty that it's really important for us to understand what emotional intelligence is and what it really looks like, what it feels like, and it's more important than ever before for us to implement this in our life. Our emotional well-being is going to play an important role on how we respond to others, how we react, what we allow to impact our day-to-day lives. We know that certain things happen that are beyond our control, like loss of income, inflation. We know that any one of us could be dealing with mental challenges, whether that's a family member or it could even be with yourself. Understanding how to navigate this is going to play a key role in your life. It's really, truly more important than ever before. We have so many layers of things that's happening in society today. We understand what self-care looks like and self-love. Sometimes when you're in the midst of those things, it can actually get lost. And so I do want to bring us back and take a moment to talk about that. Emotional intelligence feels like a sense of calm and clarity. Whenever there's chaos all around us, we're not really impacted in the way that the world is outside of us. And so I want to remind you that when you can feel like tension or stress in a situation spiraling out of control, that you have to take a moment and take a deep breath and respond with thoughtfulness. You can't allow like the first thoughts or feelings that come to you that make you feel upset and want to storm off and show like all of this other side that people are like, oh my God, what is going on? And what is that? Using profanity, throwing things around. Someone had threw like a keyboard one time where I was like, what in the heck is going on? They didn't really know how to express those emotions that were coming up. And so they felt like the way that they probably expressed it as a child and their parents were receptive of that made it okay in the workplace. But it's really not okay. So just basically understanding like how to breathe and bring yourself back into a place where you're thinking in a thoughtful way. And it's not about suppressing your feelings, it's about acknowledging them and choosing how to move forward in a way that aligns with your values. So always keep that in mind. When it comes to exercising emotional intelligence, here are a few things that's going to help you with that. Having self-awareness. Are you tuning into your emotions and noticing your stress, your anger, or your frustration rising? Having self-regulation. When those emotions come up, how do you respond? Do you act on impulse or do you pause and think through your reactions? I'm telling you this, you guys, because I have had to recently go through this where I literally had to like pause for a moment and breathe. And then I would find someone that I could go to and I would just start expressing it. And in the midst of expressing how I truly felt, something else would rise up where it was like, breathe, girl, just breathe through this. And then I literally had to like go through my self-awareness. Okay, I was aware that like, all right, you're talking to this person and you're sharing a bit much in a negative way. And I understood that I need to self-regulate and then also just have empathy for myself, because the feelings that I was feeling was real. Just understanding that even when talking with someone else and listening to them, to have empathy for them, because those struggles that they're expressing, they're real, you know? And so just being able to go back to those basic social skills, you guys, and understanding that our ability to communicate our feelings effectively without creating unnecessary conflict is important. And just being able to listen to others express their concerns and allowing them to express how they feel, understanding that it's not directed directly at you as a personal attack, but that is just what they're feeling, and they might not be able to regulate their emotions in that moment. And so you can just invite them to breathe. Just say, take a deep breath. It's okay, just breathe. I understand. Being able to be human and understand that like they're really having a bad day. When it comes to dealing with family members, you guys, like in having their mental struggles, one of the things that kicked in for myself was I was not comfortable to share with everyone what my son was going through. Just knowing that it's good for you to find a safe space and that you don't have to share your business or what's going on in your household with every single person that you run into. And it's pretty ironic because I have a podcast, Authentic Talks, and I'm pretty open about talking about things. But it's different like whenever you're in your business working or you're at work working. It's like you just kind of know how to separate those things, or you really want to separate them, because sometimes you just really don't want to be the talk of the department when it's something like that, or it's not good or positive, right? And so although we can't control the conversations that people have about us, we can control our personal business and making sure that they are not all up in that space where they're able to come to their own conclusions. And so just understanding mental struggles that people may have, you know, understanding that your family member needs you. And although sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming for me, you can also seek some help for yourself with navigating it and talking to a professional who can give you information on tips or tools and things that are out there that can help that family member to be able to navigate through those mental health challenges, whether it's anxiety, because my son, his is anxiety, an extreme case of it. And it has him where at times he just really almost appears as if he forgets to even breathe. And it's just really tough sometimes to deal with that. But exercising emotional intelligence is crucial even in those situations. And it means showing up a lot of times without judgment. It means being able to listen to someone's struggles, honestly. And here's what I had to do. I had to be patient with him. I had to encourage him to get professional help. At one point, I even had to force it, you know, where I had to go and fill out paperwork and have them come pick him up and do an evaluation. By the second day, he was calling me. He convinced the people to call me, and then he sounded 100% normal. It was to the point where they were telling me I needed to go and pick him up. He was like, I don't belong here. I don't fit in here. And after going through that experience, it like shifted the way that he was responding and the way that he was showing up. It's like it allowed him to try to exercise emotional intelligence, and it allowed him to be able to see himself and how he was showing up, and to be able to really go to get the help willingly that he needed to have. I definitely needed to encourage that professional help, and I did have to set boundaries with my son and let him know that no, the way you're behaving and the energy that you're giving is unacceptable. We're not going to have that. But we found out that he was stuck in that anxiety state of where he was when he got hit by that car. He was thinking that that was going to happen again and be like a repeat of something. And so that was definitely a struggle to deal with, and something that was a private situation that our family was going through, and us setting those boundaries and letting him know that like he needed to get that help was something that we needed to do. And at first it was a forced type of help, and it was something that was necessary. It was like his wake-up call. The last thing that I want to share with you guys is navigating loss of income and inflation, because sometimes we deal with both at the same time, where all of your bills go up, your house payment goes up because of the taxes or the insurance, and sometimes the auto insurance goes up, and then you see that your water bill, your electricity, your food bill goes up, and then clothes are going up, and your kids' feet are getting bigger or they're growing. If for those of you who have children, you can relate to that. And so I want to talk about that. The financial strain that we face sometimes is really real. It's affecting so many of us. And we all have heard about other people on the news who have lost income, and they have that heavy burden to carry. And it feels like everything is out of your control, and there's so much uncertainty behind it, and it brings a lot of stress and anxiety. That's what I experienced, and I felt like there was no place to go, like to really talk about it. And so until I did find a safe space, it's good for us when we're going through that, for us to be able to reframe our mindset, and we start with acknowledging how we really feel in those situations, whether that's fear, frustration, stress. It's okay to feel those things, but once you've recognized them, then we have to shift our focus and focus on what we have control over. And so we had to go through and look to see what were some unnecessary spending habits that we had. We had to cut back on a lot of things, in order to make life work, where we had to take care of the things that were really truly important. The house payment, and of course you have to pay your car payment and your auto insurance. There's those kind of things that you can't get away from. But then there were other things that we were spending money on that we knew, okay, we can cut that cost, or don't need to take this trip to go to such and such. We can pull back on that. We don't need to go to this particular party. We could skip that party. We could skip this event, that event. When you have a loss of income, being able to navigate that by, again, reframing your mindset, going through your bills, creating a new budget, and prioritizing what is really necessary and removing the things that are unnecessary, and then seeking additional resources and support, and then building that resilience, you guys, where you are knowing that if there's an opportunity for you to pick up extra hours or to pick up a part-time job. And again, it was a lot that happened over the last year as to why I was absentee, and there was a lot of great things that happened for our family over the last year. A lot of awarenesses, a lot of self-growth, a lot of family growth, and a lot of pouring into other people happened over the last year. And so one of the things I definitely want to reiterate to all of you is that the show is back, and it will continue to be about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. Yay! Authentic Talks is back. Now, here's what I want to leave you guys with before I end this episode. I do want to thank you so much for joining me on today's episode, and I hope that the tips on emotional intelligence helped. I hope that some of the information you received on supporting family members through mental struggles and how you can navigate through the uncertainty of financial loss were really very helpful for you as well. And remember that we're going through challenging times, and so this is not the time for us to be super duper fluffy and pretend like nothing's really going on, but I do want to stress the importance of remaining positive. That is super important. And then I just want to let you guys know that you can move through all of this with grace and compassion for yourselves and for others. And I'd love to hear how you've been coping with everything that's going on and what tools and practices are helping you and your family to manage during these uncertain times. Please feel free to share with me on social media, and let's keep the conversation going, you guys. Let's keep it going. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to the podcast for more episodes. And thank you so much again for being here. I will be talking with you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.